coming to you live. I am sorry, I've been missing in action for a little while. Let me get some shade. And it is, what is it? Very early afternoon on Friday, August 1st. I feel terrible guilt. I'm still, first of all, I feel like there's something right there. All right. Feel terrible guilt because I haven't done, I think I missed 2 weeks of lives. Did I miss 2 weeks? Anyway, we're going to do a walk and talk. All right, hang on 1 second. All right. I felt like something was on my nose. So it is a gorgeous day where I am. It's not too hot in the Northeast right now. We had maybe 2 really hot days. How are you guys doing? I just wanted to go live and connect and just do a walk and talk. I will be live Sunday, though I don't have the exact time yet because I am back in the US. So let me know, you guys, what do you want me to, on my live, some things that I'm interested in right now are health related. I found out, excuse me, I found out there's some very interesting things about aging. So it would only probably, those of you maybe over 40, just some really interesting information about how we age and the pattern of it that I was like fascinated by. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. And then I would tease out like what we can do. It actually involves people 45 and up. Excuse me, guys. And, or, I definitely still need to record all the just footage and images I took from traveling through England, Italy, and France. I need to edit it, you guys, but editing videos takes hours. And just the organizing, putting it together. And so let me know if you want me to do that. Because I do want to do that. Maybe with really just synopsizing my thoughts about each place. Does that make sense? Now, in France, those of you who watch me know, I didn't travel all through France. I really just wanted to relax. So it was a scouting trip, right? It wasn't like, ooh, I'm a tourist and I'm going to impress my YouTube followers by like standing in front of the Eiffel Tower and like pointing. That's not me. I didn't want to like spend, my precious time like just doing stuff to impress. Now, I do wish I had stayed in Paris for 2 nights. I actually found a cheap place that looked really cool, small, but like great location. And I was on my way out of France. So I would like to go back and see Paris and experience it and report on it to you and, of course, get some images. But I mean, you've all seen the Eiffel Tower, okay? I'm not going to take a better picture than some photographer. All right. So if you have questions, if you're new to my channel, I do holistic stress coaching. I teach meditation. And here, let's stop here for a second. Let's get a nice view, actually. Let me see if you guys are not getting the greatest view. Here. Anyway, let's get across this bridge. It is such a gorgeous day. It's literally like 65. So I'm really trying to appreciate each day, given the, just the situation in the US. For those of us who are sensitive, those of us who are aware and awake. And, there's just a lot of stress in the atmosphere, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of like, wow, okay, that's really happening. Okay, all right. I thought that could happen, but I didn't want to think that could happen, right? You guys get what I'm saying. So I'm just trying to be really grateful for every day. Also, very much thinking about that, thinking about, being really present in each moment. Okay, let me think of how I want to take you guys I could take you the pretty sunny way, but it's a little too sunny. I'm not going to do that. We're going to go the shorter way so I can get to sit by one of the Finger Lakes, which is where you are going with me. All right, we'll go sit by the Finger Lakes. Well, one finger of the Finger Lakes. And I will stop and read your comments in a second. So let me know what you'd like for my next video to be, or next few ones, because definitely I do, like I said, want to, because on the lives it's a little bit harder to stay focused because I greet people and questions come up. So like I said, I do want to do an edited video of my travels, and my friend said to me, you were gone for like 6 months. I'm like, no, it wasn't 6 months. She's like, okay, it was 5.5 months. I'm like, okay. Which is pretty cool, you guys, because you got to remember, let's talk on the theme about overcoming your fears, right? The last time I had traveled out of the US, I guess it was 20 years ago or 25 years ago. And I traveled with my bestie, my best buddy that I felt very safe with. I knew we had similar likes, you know. I mean, even that, we still argued a little bit about what to do. But this time, I was traveling alone, you know, as a single woman, now mature, you know, not in my 30s or whatever. And so it was very scary. I definitely had fear about air travel itself. And you guys, let's not even talk about that. You know, if you watch, you see a lot of planes just falling out of the air for a variety of reasons. Actually, not, well, yeah. And so that, you know, I've never loved flying. And then just being in a foreign country and, you know, going to France. I didn't speak French. And, you know, that was a trip, as I've said to you about the French. They're helpful, but not super warm unless you have their language, which I understand because I think they're also self-conscious, to be honest with you. They're self-conscious about their English. So I do understand that. So anyway, let's get across the street and into some shade. So it was a big thing for me. And I kept myself going, traveling, nomading for 5.5 months. That's pretty amazing. By myself. I think my last live video, I talked about some of the issues that a lot of the influencers don't mention when you're traveling or, you know, trying to live abroad or expat or immigrate, you know, and especially, like I said, my trip was more of a exploratory, right? Like a warm-up. And loneliness is the main thing. You can watch my live. I talked about that. I talked about some other things too, and some themes came up. But a lot of the like travel influencers who make their money specifically promoting travel, you know, they're not going to tell you the negatives. So I'm not that person, so I will tell you the negatives. So let's look at your comments. Know before you go, hey. And hi, Kayla. Oh, Kayla, you do? Okay, well, hey, Greg. So, Kayla, you do want to hear about the health? Yeah. I feel like the more we know, especially in the Black and brown communities, we need to know more of what we can do. Okay? So I definitely am going to do that video because I was a little bit pissed, but the information vibed with what I had just discovered, you guys, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about it in terms of this health stuff and aging and our bodies, because it literally was something I noticed. No one was talking about it, and I was kind of blabbing to friends like, oh, I don't know, I feel this is happening, and then this research, apparently there's research saying that, yes. It is, yeah. Hey, Gregory. Happy new month to you too. So I love the walk and talks. You can just listen to me while you do your dishes. You know, I'm not going to talk about like how to solve the world's problems, world peace, curing cancer. It's okay. It's just going to be light and and rambly. Okay? In a pretty area. Let me think actually. Guys, because it's a little bit of a walk. There's a pretty area to my left, but it's prettier to my right, which is longer. I'm gonna go on the prettier. I can't help it. I'm a sucker for beauty. So, yep. We're gonna pass a golf course, which I never really understood. I always kind of like them because I'm like, oh, it's pretty. It's manicured, rolling, gentle hills, but I don't get golf. I think it's just a way for mostly businessmen to like make business deals with each other while getting a small amount of exercise. Okay, I could be biased. Tell me if you play golf and I'm wrong and I'm misinterpreting the meaning of golf, okay? I think it's a high-end way for men and some women to network and make deals. I just find it an odd thing, personally. Very, very much an odd thing. So, anyway, we have a little bit of a walk to get to where the actual lake is. And those were the options, talking about the health thing and healthy aging and what scientists have discovered. The second was make the video that compiles all my visuals from my 5.5 month of travels. Okay. And hopefully you guys are seeing me okay. Good. A lot of people are out walking their dogs. You can see it's just a really, really gorgeous day. Let me see if you have any questions. So if you're new to my channel, I pretty much talk about the intersection of holistic health and spirituality and intuition, specifically for women. My channel is, of course, anybody can watch, but yeah, women's spirituality, bit of manifestation. But if we don't have the health piece, it's hard to have everything else, and that's what I keep coming back to. And I'll mention it here, but I'll talk more about it on my live on Sunday. So the reason I am not in the Netherlands is I had to make a tough decision. It was a very tough decision for me. I still think I did do the right thing, but I started to have some health issues pop up, and I literally already had the ticket for the Netherlands. So I lost some money on that. But I basically was like, you know what, Viv, go back to the US, get your health care, just get that straightened out. And from there, then you can come from a strong place. So you guys, let me know what you think. If you hadn't heard me talk about that before, it was a very difficult decision because things with the Netherlands were flowing. I literally found free housing in the Netherlands for 3 weeks. You guys, that's the equivalent of maybe about $1,500 worth of money, because to Airbnb in the Netherlands, it would actually be more. It's a very expensive country. And I also had a lawyer I spoke to, and she's like, I can absolutely get you this visa in 3 weeks. And I'm like, you're going to be able to do this? She's like, yes, I can get you the permission to stay in the Netherlands, in the country legally, because you're applying for this visa, which is very commonly given. It's the DAF visa for any of you who are actually interested in that. It's a very unique visa to, if you want to be in Europe, in a country where you feel fairly safe. Okay, so I was in France at the time, and I was, sorry guys, I'm looking around just because I'm trying to avoid filming. People, well, they're so far away you wouldn't be able to really see them, but just getting myself situated. Typically I'd cut across, but a lot of guys are already out playing golf on this Friday. So I would literally typically cut across the golf course. So This is called the DAFT visa, the Dutch American Friendship Visa. It is literally one of the easiest visas to get into Europe if you're an American, if not the easiest. But I was scared, you guys, because I was like, all right, I have like 3 weeks left on my, tourist visa. She's telling me she can do it. I'm not feeling well. And the final kicker, it was more the health thing. I was like, I think I should just go home and get checked. So that's what I did. I lost a couple $100 because I had bought a non-refundable ticket. Still pisses me off, you guys, because here's why. I canceled the ticket maybe at like 28 hours later. Like, it was beyond 24 hours, absolutely, but it was like under 30 hours after I'd purchased it. And the airlines, it was a low-cost airline. I forget, Ryanair. It wasn't Ryanair because it was across the pond. But anyway, so I definitely lost some money on that. But I think I made the right decision. I'm having lots of doctor's appointments. I mean, our health is really key, right? So far, so good, you guys. And I'm like, so I'm like slightly annoyed because I'm like, really? So I didn't need to, I could have stayed. Now I was reading a wonderful book by a sister who, very interesting, artist, creative type like me, writer. Can't think of the name of her book, and she shared a bit about the Netherlands that makes me rethink it. Every country has some racism, and sometimes it's not even specifically anti-Black racism. For example, in Asia, there's different hatreds against certain types of Asians. But this writer, who now has a disability as well, but I really related to her, Black woman, and she ended up, I think, marrying a Dutch guy, and she just talked about how she got depressed in the Netherlands. And she just pointed out things that really only another Black woman, because it might be different also for a Black male or like an Indian man, Southeast Asian man, right? But she pointed out certain things about the Netherlands that while it's an extremely liberal country, it has a different history. And definitely has a history, I guess, with the slave trade and profiting from it as countries do, right? They have great wealth. How was the wealth built? A lot of this is even new to me because, the American education system is not great. And that's just the truth, the public education system. But anyway, what this woman shared is just that there's like a lot of subtle racism in the Netherlands. And so while it's a wonderful country in many, many ways, and certainly, especially probably a wonderful country if you are not melanated, right? Healthcare, safety, all good things. They have a really developed, balanced society. But there's a lot of unawareness and things that come up there if you are, a brown person. Now, Amsterdam is also wonderful, but I didn't want to live in Amsterdam. First of all, I couldn't afford Amsterdam. Amsterdam is like this very cool, just super like open society, like New York, but more chill. I mean, I haven't been there, so tell me what you think. There's a channel of a Black guy, in a mixed marriage, and he is raving about the Netherlands. He's loving everything about it, about the way the society is organized, and you can tell that's his shtick. You know what I mean? He's not gonna, So anyway, and like I said, this woman who was talking about the Netherlands, having lived there, just factual things like just the darkness, the winters, that just didn't sit well with her spirit. So it wasn't just about how she was treated. Overall, she was treated well, but there would be these real places where people were just unconscious and they'd say things that were like, what? They have something, I think it's a black Pete. They have this thing where they're like, yeah, this was Santa's favorite, like slave or something. Something so, and it's a blackface. They do a blackface, and it's around Christmas time. And this woman was telling a story of a friend of hers who's African in the Netherlands, lived in the Netherlands, settled in the Netherlands, and she's walking around Christmas time, and this man comes up to her, and he's like, just gesturing and wildly, and he's in that blackface, and she was just like, it shook her up. She's like, okay, dude, whatever, and it wasn't even necessarily meant to scare her. I can't tell because now I'm hearing it through two people, but it was just a thing. It's like a thing, like, oh yeah, that is, culturally, that's part of our culture, whatever. It's like, okay, right, you know, cultures evolve, cultures change. They do. So anyway, certainly overall, it has many, many positives to it, especially if that's what you're looking for in terms of like LGBT rights, women's rights. Like I said, great healthcare, tolerance, like super high level of tolerance, not a lot of gun violence, not a lot, like, so things that would just make a quality of life good overall are definitely good there. So I don't know, you guys, what do you think? Like I said, it's definitely one of the easier visas to get, if not the easiest. The hardest thing, though, is housing in the Netherlands is extremely scarce. They have an issue with that. And if you have a lot of money, you can rent. Yeah, of course, Americans coming in, their income is higher than many Dutch people. And so they can get I bought a house I bought a beautiful apartment in Amsterdam or something. So, but my heart wasn't ever quite into it. Like, how it would be the equivalent of like somebody you're thinking about dating. They're handsome. They seem really nice. They work. They say the right things, but you're not in love. You're just not feeling it. The Netherlands felt like that for me, and I just was like, I don't know. Like, why am I not feeling this country? Even it ticks off these boxes. Like I said, overall, absolutely tolerant, safe, great healthcare. The weather was one thing. I'm like, you're not going to convince me about this weather. The gray. I also strangely don't like flat. I like gentle hills. To me, that is very important in a landscape. So that was my other thing. It's like this flat ass country. I just don't know. Just don't know about this. Anyway, let me see your questions or comments. Oh, great, Alicia. Alicia says that my heart chakra yoga. Yes, I know, you guys. I feel, again, that's another thing. The yoga videos, they are so time intensive to make. Oh, Alicia, so many people tell me that. And I even, you guys, an Vedic astrologer, let me go over here, show you some pretty views. Vedic just means like Indian astrology. Oh, wow. You guys, a monarch butterfly. Did you see it? Because I can't, it was the front camera. This beautiful monarch butterfly is just sitting there. It's not going anywhere. Wow. Let me try again and see if I can show you. That is so beautiful. He's just like, yeah, I'm chilling. I don't think you're going to hurt me, so I'm just going to stay. Did you guys see? Tell me if you saw the butterfly. Okay. Do you mind if I just stay by you? So, again, brothers and sisters, we need nature. It is so, so healing. That's another thing about the Netherlands. Yes, there's nature, but it's a relatively crowded country. I read that it's one of the most densely populated. I'm like, how is that possible? It's a small country, but it has a lot of people. I was like, Here. What are you looking for in a place? Those of you watching, I know a lot of folks on my channel haven't, because I'm not really a travel channel. But if you were going to change locations, where would you, what types of things would you look for in a new home? So for me, nature is really important, clearly, because I feel so good. If I'm around too many people, my anxiety level does go up. And I figured out what it is, in part because I'm empathic and because I'm intuitive. I literally start feeling people's stress, their worries, their tension, their anxieties, because I'm like very open. And then I get uncomfortable. Like I'm walking, I'm perfectly fine. And then as people, it's, you know, so that's an issue. So that's why I really love nature with a little bit less people. And so that's something that's very important to me. Okay, people don't always follow rules, but whatever. Folks are supposed to dismount from their bicycle rather than going across a relatively narrow path. And they kind of look, they're like, okay, we can get through. Whatever. It's funny because in some countries, people follow the rules even if nobody's looking. Switzerland is one of those countries, you guys. I hear people are like, you better stand here. I know no cars are coming, but we're waiting for the light. Like, they freak out if you break the rules. Obviously, America's not that way. So, let's look at some ducks together. Honestly, I don't know if they're ducks or geese. I can't tell. I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters what they are, but it's very pretty, it's very tranquil. So yeah, if you're new to my channel, holistic wellness, spirituality, if you have any questions on my walkabout, my walk and talk, let's see. Have you ever visited Ibiza? Yeah, no, Alicia, I feel like Ibiza is beautiful, but it would be crazy expensive because it's on everybody's radar. So have you been there though? That's the thing, right? With the internet now, you guys, there's nothing hidden. Like, oh, there's a hidden gem, and some idiot goes and talks about it, right? And then it gets a buzz. I'm going to give you an example. And I say this, now everybody will laugh at me because now it's so like, but I've been watching Portugal for like 15 years. Like way before it was on anybody's radar. I was getting little like literally just in my head, Portugal. Seriously, Portugal. I'm like, what? That's how my intuition works. I'm like, what is it? And I would start seeing articles way before many Black people were moving there, which we are now, and maybe the last 5 years. But this was like nobody was talking about Portugal. But I was like getting hits about it. So it has to be something that's undiscovered because, Ibiza is like hot. I think of it as like a party place also. A place for very young people who want to party. And so that wouldn't be something I'm looking for. But you guys, yeah, if you guys have suggestions of a safe country with sunshine, but having said that, I do like seasons. So it doesn't have to have winter, but I do like some differentiation of seasons. Safe place is very important. Like even Brazil, right? In my mind, I'm like, Brazil's dangerous. And yet, there are absolutely parts of Brazil that aren't dangerous. But again, my spirit is not calling me. My spirit is not calling me to Brazil. It just isn't, right? But on paper, I know it's, there are parts of it that are beautiful. Let me show you some ducks again now. They're going by. Isn't that pretty? How you doing? Hi, good. Thank you. Yeah, so checking out so we've got folks playing golf. You guys, we have a thing to preserve these type of raptors called, damn it, they're not eagles, but I'm going to try to show you one. It's off in the distance. It's at the top of a pole, and I can't tell if it's an adult or a near adult, but I'll turn the camera. I don't know if you could see it. So my town, sorry for that. I turned and it was like right by my face. Oh, I didn't want to scare you. It was like pointing up my nose, which you know how I feel about when people put their camera too low. So my town has built these poles, and they're trying to reintroduce these raptors whose names I cannot think of. They're not hawks. They're not hawks, and they're not eagles. But they're in that family. I can't think of what they're called. Oh. I'm on a suspension bridge, so when people go across running, it's like doing this to me. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm on a trampoline. So yes, okay, we're another less than 5 minutes and we'll be by the lake. Okay, let me show you a pretty view there. So nature is important to me, obviously a low cost of living. And so in that way, that's what kind of pulls the Netherlands out. Portugal, like I said, was on my radar, but because it was just little inklings, I personally couldn't see how I could move there and live there and make money and survive. So that's why I didn't pursue Portugal when Portugal was like not on everybody's radar. Many of you may know, watching this, that Lisbon, apparently beautiful melting pot of people, very diverse and historically as well. Many folks from the African diaspora there as well. Folks very nice overall. Treatment in the country good. But Lisbon now is really expensive. But as I keep saying, I wouldn't really, hold on, I want to walk in the shade. I don't want to live in a city. I'm sure it's a great city, like Paris. I'm sure Paris is an awesome city. But I really do want at this stage in my life a quieter lifestyle. So let me see your questions. Yes, oh yeah, glass half full, absolutely. I would think in terms of cities and towns. No, that's absolutely true. But having said that, without naming a particular country, countries drift in directions, right? So absolutely, like, yes, you're absolutely right. But again, when you're immigrating to a country, it's the national laws first are very important, right? Those are the laws that govern people immigrating. Or expatting is those who like to be more pretentious because they're not immigrants, like to say. Anyway, it's okay. I like expat because it's shorter, but I definitely get the issues with I'm an expat because that usually means certain people, and it's supposed to. It also has a class thing to it that's there. So anyway, the national matters, but you're absolutely right. For instance, Spirit was telling me in terms of the Netherlands, not like Utrecht kept coming up, the town of Utrecht. And then funny enough, the guy I found, the black guy, lives there with his family, loves it. He lives in Utrecht. I didn't know about him before, but I was getting Utrecht. Even Delft, which is a smaller town, which is famous for its pottery, like historically, this blue and white pottery. Many of you have probably seen it. But yes, it's at the national level that the immigration is set. So that becomes important, right? Like the rules for France are at the national level, right? You know, you need this amount of money, you need, this, oh yeah, okay. You need this amount of money, you need this and that. It's the national level. So you have to look at the national, then you want to see which way a country is going, right? Because there is definitely a worldwide shift to the right. At the same time, though, my more woo-woo part um, says to me, you know, Viv, it's kind of a battle. It's a battle of values, really, and so the the more subtle changes and the more subtle evolution of people, the very obvious, very like strong-armed, vitriolic, that might be like, no, this is the direction we're going, right? I see a really pretty area. I'm going to take you guys. Let me think for a second. There's two beautiful ways I could take you. I think I'm going to take you this way. Let's go this way. All right. Thanks for being with me, you guys, while I'm walking, because you're distracting me from the fact of how far I'm walking. And for that, I am very grateful. Very grateful. So it's a little ugly at first, but trust me, it's going to get really nice. Okay? Just stick with me. Okay. Well, I can't take you guys into the bathroom. I could turn you to stare at tile for a while. All right. So here's a pretty view. You can see the raptor birds I was talking about. There's one there. I think they had their babies a couple months ago. And apparently these birds, whose names I can't remember, I think they mate for life, I believe, because my friend was telling me she's really into them. They mate for life, and so it's a couple, and they raise their babies, and I believe they come back. They come back to the same place, or at least the same region. You know, maybe they start a new nest, they start a new house, you know what I mean? Okay, here we are in Pretty. All right, here we are. Let's walk down this path together. Isn't that beautiful? So very few people come this particular way. And if you hear me scream, just call the police, okay? Call 911. All right. So on this side, we have the lake, like an inlet for the lake. And then another on this side, you can't see it here, so I won't show it to you. But let me see your questions. Again, countries, if you have countries, I know Panama. My issue with Panama is all of a sudden Panama's in the news, on the radar of our president, of the president, I should say. Right? And I don't, because I am from Jamaica originally, I just, it sounds terrible, but I'm already used to that like climate and place, but I don't want that same climate. I don't want that same tropical year-round vibe. I don't. I mean, and of course people love it. People build their $1 million homes and, you know, whatever. I totally get that. I like some change in weather. But Panama definitely has a lot of pluses. But I've just never been drawn to the area south of the United States. Okay, you guys, hopefully this won't collapse with me on it. Okay, maybe I won't stand there, but I want to show you the lake. So yes, basically I'm back in the US, taking care of health, having health appointments. I am absolutely available for, oh God, I hate when people do this. There's like a McDonald's plastic cup right there. Like why? Why as a human being would you come sit in a gorgeous place, right? Gorgeous place, that's why you're there, and then leave garbage. That makes no sense to me. That's like, we don't shit in our bed, right? If we can help it. And yet, people don't think anything of this. I'm probably gonna pick it up because it's pissing me off. Usually the folks where I am are pretty sensitive and don't litter. I'm gonna actually pick that up, which I hate picking up people's stuff because it's kind of nasty. You know, you're like, ew. Ew, ew. Let me see any of your questions. Hold on. Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely, Glass. Absolutely. Yeah, no, Mexico has a lot going for it, despite what many naysayers say and the way many people um, really slander Mexico as a country. Absolutely. Absolutely. Spanish is relatively easy to learn. But again, to be very honest with you, Mexico, and some of you have heard me say this, Mexico, whoa, man, you guys, the waves are like pretty high on this lake right now. There must be a wind coming.